Dustin Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dustin Rider here with my review of Lupinranger vs. Patranger episode 11. So we have another solid episode this week, a good conclusion to the arc started last week, basically about it seeming like the Patrangers blew up a Lupin collection piece along with a Gangler, and dealing with the repercussions of that. Long story short, basically the dude was one of those classic villains, not just Toku, but villains have this all across time, where they have like a decoy, and so basically it wasn't destroyed. And the way they figured it out was, hey, that lady didn't show up with her music that's like boo da woo boo ba ba. That's her music, where like she shows up. They haven't used that in a while though, and I actually really liked that. Anyway, but she shows up and grows them all big, and they're like, hey, she didn't get him big this time. Anyway, so yeah, that was their thing, and then they go to the police like, hey, aren't you cops? Why do you never notice any clues or anything and are just terrible detectives? Again, I hate to rag on them, because I do like the Patrangers, and people come so vehemently to their defense when I'm just, to their defense when I'm just making points, but honestly, like, to be fair, again, the Lupinrangers have gotten intel before, but this week they're like, they figured it out again, and the Patrangers like, case closed guys, let's get a Burger King, and then they're like, hey, did you guys not think to investigate? They're like, oh yeah, we're supposed to investigate stuff. So yeah, that's how it went down. I can't believe I actually didn't think about that option last week, and there might have even been hints to his power, or they even might outright showed it, and I just wasn't paying attention. But I thought either we're gonna find out the collection pieces weren't easily destroyed, or the dude like straight up managed to make an escape, or he didn't have one. That's what, or maybe like one of the Ganglers got it out before or something. I don't know. I just didn't think about the decoy thing for some reason, even though it was among those lists. That was like the top options. But yeah, it created an interesting situation, and we had Kairi like really mad at them, and he kind of runs off, and I honestly thought he was going to blow his cover when he ran into Keijiro, and he's like, I can't even look at your face right now. He's like, hey, how's it going? You having a good night? He's like, don't even know. Like, that's what he was doing. Like, he was done. Like, he was like, Toby, you're done. That's what happened. But it was him saying, oh, weirdos around this time of year. Like, there was a guy eating ice the other day. What's up with that? Not even going to mention it as a necessary hat and poncho, but he was eating ice. So that got him on the trail. He's like, oh man, maybe if I can kill this ice dude, then it'll undo his stuff. I'm honestly not sure if that'll work. I know a lot of times in Toku or anything superhero, supernatural related, there is cases where you destroy the monster and his stuff's undone, but I'm kind of curious if that would even work with this. But basically it kind of sets him on a new mission. He winds up finding these guys after a bunch of, I think it was like students or some youths, some street youths, talking about it, and he tracks them down and does a little fight with them, and like meanwhile the others just, you know, use the Patrangers to find out that the dude's alive, and it all converges at the warehouse. There's a nice scene of like the Lupinrangers sort of reaffirming their bond and oath, and they're like, by brightest day, blackest versus changer. That's racist. You think the versus changer is black, but you're so white. Anyway, too many Office references. But yeah, a nice scene with that. They finally destroyed the dude. It was another close call because the Patrangers still didn't care. They're like, blow him up! They're like, no! Like, I honestly thought that either Lupin Blue was going to attempt to deflect the blast or block it, or maybe attack the Patrangers. I think that would be something interesting to do. I honestly thought it would be good to do here to sort of tee off another little arc happening where they wonder why the Lupinrangers are so protective of the item. Like, I think it would be interesting to see down the road, since they didn't do it here, if either like a situation like this happens where the Patrangers are about to blow up a dude and there's like such a small amount of time for the Lupinrangers to get the collection piece out that either one of them attacks the Patrangers mid-attack, they deflect it, or maybe they get in way of the blast, and it would make the Patrangers think, why are they willing to go so far for loot, basically? And I think that would be a good way to key off them either finding out the Rangers' identities, or at least finding out why they do what they do. You know, there's a chance that they could find out the Lupinrangers are doing this to save people before they even find out their identities. But I think that would be a cool way to tee off something. They didn't do it here, but that's what I thought was going to happen. Basically, it was just a last-minute save situation. We got a little bit more at the introduction. It was honestly felt very secondary. I mean, it was a debut of a new Zord and how it worked, but it was very secondary to the sort of plot going on. But we got to see the scissors thing becomes like a boomerang and shield, which is kind of goofy looking for like the physical form. I mean, their ground forms, just as Rangers. That's a weird way of putting it. But it looks kind of goofy, but I also kind of dig it just because it's a little something different that has an additional ability beyond just being auxiliary. And speaking of auxiliary though, they did show its combined form, which is basically kind of a classic sword and shield in a way, which I actually think that's probably my favorite. Like, it's really simple, it doesn't do a whole lot, like he's literally just holding it up as a shield, and has a sword, but I dig it. I think it's cool, and I like that it's called like, it's like Night Mode, or Lupin Kaiser Night Mode or whatever, but I like that a lot. And then there was like a nice moment at the end where Kairi's kind of appreciative of Keijiro's concern when he comes back into the restaurant, and they're sort of not concealing, but not going right to the butler guy about everything and discussing it with him. They're kind of keeping it close to the vest. But I thought it was a really solid episode. A good way of reaffirming the Lupin Rangers bond, and kicking off more of the arc with the crazy ice dude who gave his name. It's like, I don't know, it's like Ned or something. I don't even care. There's too many names. It's like someone's gonna correct me as if I'm actually caring, but I don't care about what his name is, to be honest. His hat's too unnecessary. It pisses me off too much. But yeah, he's they kicked that arc off nicely and sort of did a nice what if scenario, like what if a Lupin collection piece is destroyed. I'll be interested to see if they maybe revisit that later, where one might actually be destroyed, or they find out it can't be. I'll be interested to see if they revisit that, but I definitely think that could be a good vehicle for the Pat Rangers finding out more about the Lupin Rangers, like with them going so far as to protect the collection piece or something. But yeah, I thought this was a solid ending to the arc. Again, Lupin Rangers doing a really good job at, even, I wouldn't consider this filler, but I think they're doing a good job at, in episodes, every episode you're either learning something new about a character, you're progressing their own arc, or a potential connection between two of the Rangers, whether it's on the same team or not, and the plot's always moving forward, even if it's a little bit. It's always moving forward, it's always present, which is a problem Sentai's had in the last few years, is sometimes it feels like the plot isn't even existing. And even if it's just in the small background, they're doing a good job of keeping all this consistent and up without feeling like we're rushing or getting to things too quickly. I guess that's the same thing. But yeah, solid episode though. I'd give it an 8.5. Until next time, if you like, comment, subscribe. Dawson Ryder, signing out.